Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here. How are we all doing as we continue this movement through the last week now of June, coming through that creational energy of the Pythia Venus conjunction? We have another week of powerful cosmic current to explore as we move towards the Capricorn micro full moon on the 29th of June. So this is the final micro full moon anyways. We'll have some micro new moons. But it is the final micro full moon of 2026. It is not the farthest that the full moon is from the Earth. That was our Sagittarius blue moon. But it is still smaller from our earthly vantage point. And one of the things that we've been talking about here as we've been exploring the cosmic current is these micro full moons bringing us into a higher perspective, kind of pulling up and out so that we can see things in a wider field. When we have a macro full moon, it's close to the earth. It's really affecting us in a visible, visceral way. It's a bit more surfacey, you might even say, what's being pulled up. Full moons are connected to releasing of energies. One of the ways to play with this energy is this remembering that the maiden moon, the growing moon, becomes pregnant, becoming fully illuminated, and then begins to shed on its way to newness. And this shedding, when we feel into that bright spotlight, that full reflective surface of the full moon, inviting us to release. Whereas new moons invite us to plant seeds, it takes us into that void space where we can plant new ideas, new themes, new stories. And the Cancer macro full new moon that we have on the 14th of July is going to be a powerful moment for that. And we'll talk about that in another update. For now, we're going to keep this one pretty tight into the Capricorn micro moon. Again, it's on the 29th of June. It's at 4:55:56 p.m. Pacific, which means that for some of us, for many of us, this full moon won't be on the 30th of June, right? We're ending this month of June with this energy. We'll find the sun at 8 degrees of Cancer, the moon at 8 degrees of Capricorn, and they're making a nice T-square with Sekhmet, the asteroid named for, at 8 degrees of Libra. This energy helps us to feel into the warrior goddess within, the protectress within. Trip over that word pretty often, there's something fun in that, right? You have to take a little pause, or at least I do, to get that word to fully come out. The protectress energy of Sekhmet, the seated empowerment of Sekhmet in the sign of balance, of relationships, of connections, where the sun is in the sign of belonging. It is the marrow of our bones. It is our ancestral spaces, our DNA spaces. And the moon in the sign of Capricorn, our foundations, our structures, our karmic dharmic path, our physical skeletal system, the scaffolding upon which everything hangs. You can feel that Libran energy of what hangs in the balance, splitting the difference between where we've been, our sense of belonging in Cancer, our bloodlines, and the scaffolding upon which we exist in Capricorn. And Sekhmet there, helping us to feel her triple form as well. Now, during this lunation, we'll have Hecate at 5 degrees of Pisces, exactly across from Magdalena as well. They've both shifted off now, both being at 5 degrees of their respective signs, Virgo and Pisces. They've shifted off the south and north nodes where they were sitting right on top the last time we spoke, or the last new moon, anyways. And they are playing with this balance as well. The nodes are about to shift. By the time we get to that August 12th eclipse, the nodes will be in different signs. We will have an Aquarius north node, and we will have a Leo south node. But before they get there, Mars, who shifts across the 0 point of Gemini just before this full moon, crossing through that stellar dimension, Alcyone, will be T-squaring with the nodes. So we have moved through this energy of Hecate, the keeper of the keys, guardian of the crossroads, the torch holder, that triple wisdom energy. And the Magdalena across the way in Virgo, reclamation of voice, of seat at the table, divine feminine rising energy. And we find now Mars coming in. Now on the 1st and 2nd of July, Mars will cross through Sedna, that other goddess, that underworld goddess, that tangled hair. And also, Sedna represents that shamanic journey, very similar to the way that Neptune or Mercury do, in that Sedna exists at the deepest depths of the earthly oceans, as well as in asteroid form, traveling all the way out to the Oort cloud and coming back in this 11,000-year orbit. So we have Mars, our drive, our purpose, our sense of I am, sometimes in shadow, seeking power or dominion over. But when fully realized, embracing the I am of all existence, of all sentience. And this movement across Sedna, in that expressive sign of Gemini, as we move through this Capricorn full moon and towards the crone moon, is an invitation for us to feel the deepest depths of our being and the farthest reaches that we are capable of feeling. To understand our transliminality, this capacity to move across and through boundaries, barriers, and open ourselves to that more liminal experience. As we move towards the 3rd and 4th of July, Mars will continue this journey and cross through the Awakener Uranus. This is setting the stage as well, because already we have three of the players of Barbalt's basket in their spaces. We have Pluto coming already into the fourth degree of Aquarius in its retrograde turning. We have Hecate getting ready to turn retrograde on the 8th of July and splitting the difference between the already at 4 degrees Aries, Neptune. This is setting the stage. We will have Medusa and Taurus coming into the 4 degree by the time we get to the 19th of July. We will have Uranus at the 4 degree of Gemini by the time we get there. We will find the Morgan, at 4 degrees of Cancer, thereabouts. And we will find Jupiter at 4 degrees of Leo. This basket, this cornucopia, is the current that is carrying us into the new, we could say. It indicates a pivotal shift in consciousness. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen lickety split like that on the 19th. What it means is that when we look back at this period, we'll be able to trace in, oh, some real important shiftings, some real important tickings began. And here I'm going to share a personal story to help us feel into what's meant by that. That a lot of times when we're in the moment of transition, we don't necessarily know that that's what we're experiencing. Many of you who are watching will be aware that I had a very long and drawn out health crisis, dark night of the soul, from the 2010s-ish. It really began around 2008. It hit its like crucible around 2013 and lasted. I started to find my way through as we came towards 2018, 2019, 2020. And there was this big movement that occurred. And this is the story that we're going to talk about right now. In around 2017, about midway 2017, I had hit this level of frustration. You see, this illness, it had required many surgeries and it had depleted my physicality to such a point that I could barely get out of bed. And this one particular night, I felt horrible. Everything ached. I couldn't move. I was so tired. It was autoimmune stuff combined with all kinds of other stuff. And my husband and one of my close friends had gone to a concert, and it was a band that I really liked. And I was unable to get out of bed for weeks on end already up to this point. And in my frustration, I picked up my laptop and typed into Google literally every single symptom that I was feeling in that moment. Every single symptom that I was feeling in that moment. Oh, my ears are ringing. I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm wired, but I can't sleep. And my cells are vibrating. It's a lot of stuff I've learned. We're not going to detail them all in this moment. But once I got everything listed out with commas, this long diagram of symptoms that I was experiencing, I hit search, and the entire first page of information that came through was about spiritual awakenings and light body symptoms and dark night of the soul and da 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 da. And at that point in that frustration, I slammed my computer shut and I threw it across the bed and I was like, no, because what I wanted in that moment more than anything was to be given, this is what you're experiencing, and here's the pill, right? And how many of us have gone through that in one form or another, where we're in a kriya, where we're in a state of crisis, and all we want is for someone to come up to us and say, just take that pill. Red pill, blue pill, whatever color the pill is. If you just take this one pill, you don't actually have to do any work. You don't have to do anything. You'll be cured. Everything will be great. And yet, those don't exist. Just like one size fits all isn't actually one size fits all, right? There's no magic pill that you can take and every trauma you've ever experienced is erased. But we can have these catalytic moments. And this moment for me, looking back, even a year later, 2 years later, many years later now, I'm 11, I can see how that moment, getting that search feed result, was a catalytic event because I had been so consumed with the exoteric, the outward experience of my illness, that even though I was still going with acupuncture and other non-traditional treatment options and things like this, I had gotten so wrapped up in what I was experiencing that I couldn't see the forest for the trees, as it were. And receiving that message, even though in my frustration, I did not want to receive that message, I cast it away, did something within me. It created a catalytic event. And all of a sudden, over the next coming weeks, I noticed that I was gathering all of the crystals in my house to me some more, and I was gathering more crystals into my being, into my presence. I started pulling my tarot decks out and really diving deep into astrology again. And I started reclaiming my voice, reclaiming the truth of my oracular capacities, my capacity for understanding and talking transliminally to the various components of me. Now, it took some time. It wasn't like, oh, I picked up my tarot cards and huzzah, everything was fine and I didn't have to do any work. No, I still had to do the work. I got the aha. The aha started percolating through me. And as the bubbles started to rise up, so to speak, more and more of myself became visible to me, and I started completely changing the way that I was interacting with my physicality. This is a weaving for us to feel into this period that we're in right now. It's not some magic pill or magic bullet that's, wow, presto, everything's changed. But rather it is a series of catalytic converters, catalytic moments that if we allow them to percolate through us, can completely change the structure and the foundations and the way that we are moving through the world. This full moon is about looking at the microcosmic effects, looking at the microcosmic effects This is cardinal energy. It is initiatory. It is moving quickly. But Mars is in that mutable. Chiron has just entered fixity. Now, Chiron is going to be moving with Isis and Jupiter as we move into this week. Jupiter on the 30th of June, 1st of July, is going to shift across the zero of Leo. Isis will be making that shift during this Capricorn micromoon. They will be passing through and an exact square with Chiron now in Taurus, helping us to feel those ways of recollecting, expanding our recollection of our creative capacities. Remember, Chiron in Taurus is manifestational. It is material. It moves in those earthly structural realms. Everything that we're being invited to experience as this Capricorn micro full moon guides us to an Aries crone moon Sirius stellar gateway event where Neptune and Hecate shift retrograde, which leads us into a more full realization, a more full cornucopia, Barabolt's basket, which will come into its exactness on the 19th, between the 19th and 22nd of July, just as the sun is getting ready to shift into Leo as well. We have all of this movement, everything leading us to this state of allowing. Half of the players in the basket are retrograde. The other half are moving forward. This is allowing ourselves to feel the deepest depths of our being and the farthest reaches as well. And through breaking down unnecessary boundaries, integrating our entire trans-dimensional beingness. On the day of the Capricorn micro full moon, Mercury also at 26 degrees of Cancer will be shifting retrograde. This retrograde will last straight through the rest of Cancer season as Mercury shifts direct again on the 23rd, that same day that the basket, the first player of the basket, Jupiter, shifts out of the 4th degree. So as Jupiter begins to release the structural integrity of Barabolt's basket, Mercury shifts direct and we start to express more of that creative capacity, all of that yumminess. And here, invitation once again to feel what is meant by turning point. Oh, we're going to dive deeper into Barabolt's basket in a special update for the Sirius Gateway, which I'll bring through from Yosemite, which I'll be spending the 4th of July part of this energetic in. And the invitation is to feel how the structures of your being, not just the profane, not just the spiritual structures of your being, but the actual ways in which you're called to interact with your community are changing. The actual ways in which you can start to walk the new earth, walk the true I am. How you can be the way shower, the torch holder of this new energy. Remember, if you're watching this video, you are a light worker. You would not have found this video and you would not have been called to watch it if you weren't. And you are also one of those souls who came in to glitch the matrix, to create the new foundations and to help facilitate in the tearing down of the old. Now, I don't mean in a destructive sort of firebombing sort of vibe. What we mean here is to actually, through your wholeness, through being your truest expression in the world, fundamentally changing the way that other people interact with themselves as well. Your yes gives permission to other people's yes. When you do not shrink down or hide yourself, even if in those first moments it seems like you're being shunned or rejected for having done this, the thread of empowerment stimulates the all. When you use your true voice, when you let your light shine, when you allow yourself to dance your dance, to share your wisdom, your medicine, when you witness with compassion the journey of your fellow human, animal, plant, when you witness with compassion yourself, it changes your structure. It changes everything within and around you. When we work with sound and frequency meditations, this is part of what we're doing, right? We're singing to our soul, we're singing to our cells, we're singing to our microbiome, we're singing to the electric fire of our nervous system, to the water of our blood, sweat and tears. We're singing down our ancestral line and forward through our ancestral line. We're giving permission for our children to walk their truth in the world by walking ours. We are erasing old self-limiting dogmas. And that is probably the truest statement about the cosmic current that this Capricorn micro full moon is stimulating. The releasing of self-limiting dogmas. When we feel into the energies of Capricorn and of Saturn, there can be a lot of restriction in their shadow. We don't need to restrict ourselves. We can open up to our Dharma. We can feel how karma and Dharma are the same thing. We interact karmically so that we can build up the spiritual stamina to be our Dharma. If it calls, there will be a link below to the explorations of transliminality, frequency transmission, and activation that was facilitated on the solstice. That's completely free. Just click the link below. It will take you straight to it. For those of us in the inner sanctum of the Blue Flame Apothecary, we're going to have a fun choose a crystal oracle card transmission, going back to the old school from the early days of the Blue Flame Apothecary for us with that. Um, you may have noticed the last couple of updates. I have not been saying this is Hills from the Blue Flame. And this is because I have been undergoing a metamorphosis, a transition, an elevation, evolution. And though I still work with the alchemical flames, blue, green, yellow, orange, all of the chakras are still moving, and that deepest chamber of the heart is still flowing through me. I am also coming into a new state of my soul's experience, working with some energies in the infrared and ultraviolet vicinities. And so part of this for myself has been releasing that identification as being from the blue flame and allowing the full cosmic current to flow through in a different way. So as we come through this pivot point of Barabal's basket, I think I will know more personally about what this transition, this metamorphosis is inviting. I'm going on a pilgrimage with my niece. And I think that this will help me anchor through what's coming, all this new. And I'm really excited when it's ready to share it all with you. But for now, perhaps this is being shared as an invitation. Go back to the beginnings, a beginning. It doesn't have to be a full rebirthing, though if that's what calls, amazing, that's what calls. But perhaps it's something a little bit more recent. We've had so many timeline shifts, so many transitions in the last 6 years, in the last 4 years, in the last 6 months, that touching in with some of the fundamentals, the foundational principles of one of your other turning points could be a powerful way to start to feel into this new that you're coming into. For us in the Blue Flame Apothecary, it's literally going back to what was done when the Blue Flame Apothecary in 2022 first launched. And on the full moons, we would have a choose a stone, 3-stone oracle card transmission. This is coming back for us. So in that shared container of the inner sanctum, we get to play with those foundations. Now, if that calls to you and you want to be in that energy as this transformation is happening, please do come on over. There's links to circle below. You can come and be part of the community, which is the free atrium area, or you can come into the inner sanctum where there's all kinds of meditations. Right now in the atrium, we still have the Platinum Lightbody as well, activation and transmission. however you're called to journey through these portals within portals within portals within portals, through these turning points of our foundations and our structures and our ways of being in this all universe. May you journey well, my friends, as always, in the always, with so much and many loves, remembering that you are love. Bold, beautiful, strong love. Thank you. From the dimensions of the all and beyond and beyond.